Learning English through short stories is an incredible way to improve your English. You do not need to read long, boring texts. In today's lesson, I'll show you. With 3 stories, you are going to learn a lot of new vocabulary. My name's Arnell. Let's start. Our first story is The Fox and the Grapes. I'm sure you've heard this story in your language. It's a classic story everywhere. One day, a fox spied a beautiful bunch of grapes hanging from a vine on the branch of a tree. Okay, there's a lot of vocabulary in one little sentence. One day. This doesn't mean one single day. A day in the past or future, but we don't know specifically when. Past. One day, Alice decided to sell her house and buy a farm. Future. One day I'm going to be president. So we don't know when. Spy. Spy is a regular verb. Spy, spied, spied. This means to see or to notice something. I spied something shiny in the grass. A bunch of grapes. A bunch of grapes. We mean a group of grapes. We can also say a bunch of bananas and a bunch of flowers. You know, they're all connected. A vine. A vine is a really long green plant. They can be a bit curly sometimes. Grapes grow on vines. Pumpkins grow on vines. Tarzan swings from vines. Let's read on. The grapes seemed ready to burst with juice, and the fox's mouth watered as he gazed longingly at them. Let's take a look. Burst. This is an irregular verb. Burst, burst, burst. Something breaks open because of pressure. Here, the grapes are going to burst with juice. The water balloon burst. Mouth waters. If your mouth waters, this means something looks or smells so delicious that you start to drool. Drool. My mom's cooking makes my mouth water. Mouth watering is also an adjective. I saw a mouth-watering piece of chocolate cake. Gaze. To look at something for a long time, usually when you are dreaming or you're looking at someone you admire. The 2 cherubs are gazing upwards. Longingly. Longingly. This is an adverb and the verb is long for. If you long for something, you really want it. The adverb and the verb are actually not so common day to day. These are more literary words, like in books. Meg stared longingly at the photographs of her family, wishing she could be with them. After months away from home, Tom began to long for the comfort of his own bed. The bunch hung from a high branch, and the fox had to jump for it. The first time he jumped, he missed it by a long way. So he walked off a short distance and took a running leap at it, only to fall short once more. Again and again he tried, but in vain. Take a running leap. Leap means jump. If you take a running leap, this means you run so you can jump higher. Like this man here. He took a running leap to jump over the table. Fall short. Fall short. If you fall short, you did not manage something. You know, here is your goal, but you are here. Despite their hard work, the team's performance fell short in the final match. Try in vain. If you try something in vain, it means you tried but were unsuccessful. Firefighters tried in vain to stop the fire from spreading, but the wind was too strong. This was unsuccessful. And we don't have to use the word try. Michelle's apology was in vain. The damage to their friendship had already been done. Let's turn the page. Now he sat down and looked at the grapes in disgust. "What a fool I am," he said. "Here I am, wearing myself out to get a bunch of sour grapes that are not worth gaping for." And off he walked very, very scornfully. Look at something in disgust. If you look at something in disgust, you make this face. Ugh. Ugh. Nathan looked at Brian in disgust when he ate a piece of candy off the floor. Ugh. A fool. Fool. A fool is not a positive description. If you describe someone as a fool, you mean they are not thinking and make stupid decisions. Jess was a fool for spending all of her savings on a luxury watch. You know, there's a famous song called "A Fool in Love." I mean, you can imagine that when someone is in love, they might do stupid things. Wear out. This is a great phrasal verb. This means to become exhausted. The fox is wearing himself out because of all the jumping. You need to stop working such long hours. You'll wear yourself out. The adjective is also common. I'm worn out. I'm going to bed. Sour. Sour. You know, sour is the taste in lemons, limes, pickles can be sour, grapes can be sour. In English, we have an idiom that comes from the story, sour grapes. This means that someone is angry and critical because they can't get what they want. They might be a bit jealous. Felicity said she didn't want to be part of the club, but it sounded like sour grapes since they didn't invite her. Off he walked. Off he walked. We can say off he walked, off he went, off he flew. When we say off, person, animal plus travel verb, we mean leaves, departs. And this phrase is common when you're telling a story. The cowboy bowed his head and off he rode. Scornfully. This is an adverb. Let's look at the adjective first. Scornful. This means you don't like something because you think it's inferior to you. You don't respect it. You think it's stupid. He gave me a scornful laugh when I asked if he needed my help. He thinks he's superior. Huh, I don't need your help. Let's do the adverb. Amy decided to ask management for promotion. Her manager scornfully replied, "Why would you get a promotion?" You know, I couldn't find a picture of a fox with a scornful expression, but here's a good picture of a cat with a scornful expression. Okay, first story done. To give you a bit more information, this story is one of Aesop's Fables. Aesop was an ancient Greek storyteller, and a fable is a short story, usually with animal characters and a moral lesson at the end. In your country, are Aesop's Fables popular? Do people know about them? And if you want all of the vocabulary from today's lesson, you can become a channel member and download all of the notes today. I'll leave the link to join in the comments below. Next story, The Lion and the Mouse. A lion was asleep in the forest. his great head resting on his paws. A timid little mouse came upon him unexpectedly, and in her fright and haste to get away, ran across the lion's nose. Paw. Paw. A paw is the hand of a cat, dog, lion, tiger. This is a paw. Timid is an adjective. Nervous, shy, no confidence. You can really think about a mouse being timid. Came upon. This is a good phrasal verb, but this one is a bit formal. In day-to-day English, come across is the more common one. This means to see something unexpectedly, unplanned. On our hike, we came upon a little waterfall. While I was doing research, I came across an interesting study. So here, of course, the timid mouse did not expect to see the lion. Haste. This is an old-fashioned literary word. It's rarely used in modern English. The modern equivalent is hurry. Like if you do your homework in a hurry, you're more likely to make mistakes. Haste, this word itself, isn't common nowadays, but you might hear it in a period drama like
Daphne! You must make haste!
This means you must hurry. Get away. Another phrasal verb. Get away means to escape from danger or punishment. The thief managed to get away before the police arrived. I've taught a couple of phrasal verbs already. I'm currently working on book 2 of my phrasal verb journey workbook series. Book 1 has the first 170 phrasal verbs all students need to know. Book 2 has almost 200 phrasal verbs, and get away is actually number 258. So if you really want to focus on phrasal verbs, these 2 workbooks are available on my store. Book 1 is done, and book 2 will be done pretty soon. When it's ready, I'll link it down below for you as well. Let's keep reading. Roused from his nap, the lion laid his huge paw angrily on the tiny creature to kill her. Spare me, begged the poor mouse. Please let me go, and someday I will surely repay you. Rouse. Rouse. To rouse someone means to wake them up. The smell of fresh coffee roused me from my sleep. Spare me means save me. Save my life. Don't kill me. Beg. Beg. This means to ask for something in a desperate way. This can be used in a serious situation like he needed to beg for food. But in day-to-day English, it can be used as an exaggeration. My students are begging me. They're begging me for less homework. The lion was amused to think that a mouse could ever help him. But he was generous and finally let the mouse go. Amused. Amused. Entertained. You think something is funny to watch or listen to. All of the fans were amused when a dog ran onto the football field. Let me go. This means release me. Let me be free. We caught a frog, but we let it go. Some days later, while stalking his prey in the forest, the lion was caught in a hunter's net. Unable to free himself, he filled the forest with his angry roaring. Stalk. To follow a person or an animal in a way they don't see you. The lion stalked the gazelle. There's also a crime called stalking. Stalking. This is when you follow someone over a period of time Because you are curious about them, or you want to attack them, or you're obsessed with them. In this picture, we can see a woman stalking a couple. Maybe she's jealous. And a net is this. This is a net. Unable to. Unable to plus verb. This means you cannot, you are not able to. And it's a good way to start a formal sentence. Unable to contact Bill, Victoria started to worry that Bill was in trouble. Victoria couldn't contact Bill. Unable to sleep, Zoe decided to read a book until she felt tired. Zoe couldn't sleep. Roar. A lion, tiger, and a bear can roar. It's this sound. That's a roar. Okay, we're almost done with this story. Let's keep reading. The mouse knew the voice and quickly found the lion struggling in the net. Running to one of the great ropes that bound him, she gnawed it until it parted, and soon the lion was free. You laughed when I said I would repay you, said the mouse. Now you can see that even a mouse can help a lion. What a nice little story. Struggle. Struggle. This means you have difficulties doing something. Something is not easy for you. I struggled to open the jar of pickles. Students often struggle with English grammar. Gnaw. Gnaw. The G is silent. And this means to chew something for a long time, usually causing a hole. Dogs like to gnaw on bones. My daughter likes to gnaw on her bottle. Are you ready for the last story? And I believe the next story is the most famous out of the three. Again, let me know, in your country, are these stories popular? The Tortoise and the Hare. First things first, this is a tortoise, and this is a hare. A hare was making fun of the tortoise one day for being so slow. Do you ever get anywhere? He asked with a mocking laugh. Yes, replied the tortoise, and I get there sooner than you think. I'll run a race and prove it. To make fun of someone. To make fun of someone. This means to tease someone. You laugh at them. Kids made fun of my glasses. A mocking laugh. A mocking laugh. Mocking is an adjective. The verb is mock. When you mock someone, you are making fun of them. You laugh at them and maybe copy them to be mean. In this little clip, you'll see little birds mocking the big bird. So that's mocking behavior. Let's move on. The hare was much amused at the idea of running a race with a tortoise. But for the fun of it, he agreed. So the fox, who had consented to act as judge, marked the distance and started the runners off. First things first, normally we do not capitalize animal nouns in English, but here the nouns are being used as names, so they are capitalized. But when you're writing, don't capitalize animals. For the fun of it. For the fun of it. This means we don't have a reason to do something. It's just fun. There's no real purpose. I like to draw hearts on paper for the fun of it. This is true. I don't know why I do it. It's just fun. For the fun of it, all the students in the class decided to dress like the teacher. Consent. Consent. This means to agree and give permission. Dr. Pym consented to perform the surgery after carefully reviewing Sarah's medical history. You can't go on the school trip without your parents' consent. In this sentence, consent is being used as a noun. The hare was soon far out of sight, and to make the tortoise feel very deeply how ridiculous it was for him to try a race with a hare, he lay down beside the course to take a nap until the tortoise caught up. Out of sight. Out of sight. If something is out of sight, it is so far away that you cannot see it. Bill watched the airplane in the sky until it was out of sight. A course. A course. When you run a race, a course is a path you need to take. So here, the hare decided to take a nap beside the course. Catch up. Catch up. This is another phrasal verb, and it happens to be number 71 in book 1. This means to get to the same point as someone ahead of you. So if horse number 1 is here and horse number 2 catches up, it gets to the same point as the horse in front. So we can use catch up with physical distances, but also other situations. Adam was sick and missed school for 1 week. He had to do a lot of extra homework to catch up. He needed to work extra hard. So here, Hare is saying, "Oh, I'm going to sleep until you catch up." The tortoise, meanwhile, kept going slowly but steadily, and after a time passed the place where the hare was sleeping. But the hare slept on very peacefully, and when at last he did wake up, the tortoise was near the goal. The hare now ran his swiftest, but he could not overtake the tortoise in time. Meanwhile, this can mean two things are happening simultaneously during this time. While the hare was sleeping, the tortoise kept going. Stephen had to work over the summer to earn money for college. Meanwhile, his classmates were enjoying their summer break. Two things happening at the same time. Swift. Swift is an adjective. Swifter is the comparative, and swiftest is a superlative. Swift, swifter, swiftest. This means fast, so we can also say fast, faster, fastest. Overtake. Overtake, overtook, overtaken. Imagine two cars are driving. When the one at the back moves to the front, this is overtaking. Definition: the back position moves ahead. Jill overtook Kathy, Tracy, and Aaron to become the student with the best scores in the class. So in this story, the hare could not overtake the tortoise. What's the moral of the story? What did we learn? Don't run races! Thank you so much for watching today's lesson. Learning English through short stories can be a great way to get a bit of daily practice without doing anything long and boring. We don't want reading and learning to become work. If you've enjoyed these 3 stories, there are so many more Aesop's Fables that you can read. I'll link a whole list of these stories in the video description. You can check them out later if you want. I really enjoyed making this lesson. Why don't you give me a few example sentences in the comments? Practice, practice, practice. I'll see you next time.